This next session is we're gonna go online with financials. This is gonna be myself. You've already met Zach, so he's gonna be answering as many questions as he possibly can for this session. What I am gonna do, I can still see some people using the poll, so I'm gonna leave the poll up for a little bit longer. We do need to get underway though, so I'll begin and let's just get right into it. So what we're gonna be doing today is we're gonna be talking briefly about online payments. We definitely want to talk about the donations module that has been mentioned before, the donations module. And pardon me, I'm just aware of how quickly I started talking there. So I'm going to try to slow down, including my mouse gestures right now, because that is something I need to work on. Sometimes I get really excited. It's an exciting time, and I talk a little quickly. So I'll try to slow everything down. By the way, please do feel free to post anything in Q&A and in the chat while we're going. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to be talking about how to use online payments for dues and billing and for events. I want to jump right into it, okay? So what I've done is I've already logged into the administration page, okay? So I was on the home page of my website, but now I'm on the admin page. Now, for those of you who may or may not know, this is our brand new administrative page. We're gonna talk about two methods. We're gonna use this admin page that I'm scrolling slowly down right now, and we're also gonna use the top menus. But what I want to talk about first is I'm just going to scroll slowly back up the page. Is before we even get on with financials, what I want to ask is let's talk about how to actually set up the online payments module. So I'm going to open up a new browser tab. I'm going to go to our homepage. I'm going to do this fairly quickly because I think most of you have the online payments module. Actually, the poll will take care of viewing some of that. But now I'm on our corporate homepage, clubrunner.ca. And what I'm just going to do is I'm going to click on features, and I'm going to go down to online payments. Okay. If you need to set up online payments, please do come to this page. You're going to go to our homepage. You're going to click on features, and you're going to click on online payments. Let me just get rid of this little cookie notice. Okay. The online payments, it varies from country to country, whether US, Canada, international, so forth. If you haven't set up online payments, please do come here. Please click on the country of your choice, and you can find out more information. Contact our sales team. I'm going to stop it there, and that's going to be the theme of this following session. Is just because I want to cover as much ground as possible. I'm not going to go too much in depth into certain things. So we're going to now say that we've looked at the online payment module. We've got it all set up. Great. Let's talk about the donations module. Okay, so I'm going to click here. And I'm going to log, so we're already logged into the administration page. I'm going to scroll down. Like I mentioned, we want to do this two ways because you can use the administration page here. Okay. And let's just go down a little bit. Okay. Actually, I'll use the scroll wheel. Okay. Pardon me. Now, hold on one second, please. Now this is actually good in a sense because I know that for some people, especially if you're a website admin, you might have a lot of information on the page. I'm actually going to search on this page for the word donations because I want to freely admit it. Sometimes if there's a lot of text on the page, sometimes I use this little shortcut to help me navigate, and you might be the same. So maybe this might be of use to you. So I'm going to use my keyboard. I'm going to hold down Control on a Windows keyboard. I'm going to tap the letter F for find. On Mac, it's Command and F for find. I'm going to type in donations. Okay. And so what I want to talk about is the donations module next. So up along the top blue tabs, admin, my club runner, and so forth, I'm going to click on donations, and we're going to get right into the donation settings. Okay, so let's just get right into the donations. There's a couple caveats I have before we begin. Okay, so this is the donations module. We're going to jump right into it in a second. So who can use the donations module? Let's get that out of the way first. So if you are in US, and you have Sage/Paya payment solutions, or if you're in Canada, our payment solution there is Bambora. Then you can use the donations module. At this time, our development team is working to expand the donations module to all of our international customers who are not using Sage or Bambora, etc. You might be thinking, well, wait, I'm in Italy or Australia. I'd really love to use the donations module. We're working on it. The donations module is actually something really big and something really we were excited to release, and we wanted to get it out into circulation. So we're going to be continuing to expand it in stages. So right now, what this applies to, if you're in the US and you have Sage, if you're in Canada, you have Bambora, then you can set up the donations module. Now, we can see here when I clicked on donation settings, this donation module is already set up. Now that's okay, because what you might see when you log into your club website and you already have Sage or you already have Bambora is you might say, click here to complete the setup. There'll be an orange button. When you click the orange setup button, you will come to this, okay? And I want to talk about this for a second. Like I said, I know Zach already mentioned in his webinar, it is worth going over. The online financials is kind of it's more vital than it ever was with the pandemic. So here's the donation settings. I'll try to do this relatively quickly, okay? So what is the title of this page? What you're setting up is an actual web page where you're going to collect online donations, okay? So the title, we just called it donate. We're going to make things really simple. This is actually really important. And you know what? I'm going to make my screen just a tiny bit touch bigger, okay? I'm going to see how big I can go so hopefully you can see that a little bit better. I want to highlight this. This is something you probably want to check in the donations module, allow freeform amount. So just make sure it's checked. What that means is you can set up available amounts right here, okay? These are all dollar amounts, $10, $25, $50, $100. But what if someone wants to donate $5 or $17 or whatever they feel like? Make sure that allow freeform amount is checked. There's be a text box where they can type in what they want to donate. The confirmation email template, we're going to talk about that in a second. You can actually choose what to tell the user. After they've donated, they'll get a confirmation email. You can actually control what that email says, okay? I'm going to scroll down just a little bit. The description, this is what people will see on the live website. So this has already been pre-built. We've got the Rotary logo. We've got a little intro blurb. You can make yours as fancy or as simple as you'd like it to be, okay? Just scrolling down just a little bit more, you'll see here, use custom confirmation message. All right, so we're definitely going to use that. And this is our message. You can basically customize it to say whatever you'd like, but a general thank you for your kindness and generosity, and like I said, I know I'm going to try to hit the highlights today just because I want to move on to some other topics. So I'm going to scroll down. Who is the sender full name? That's us, the Rotary Club of Club Runner, okay? And this is our email address, okay? support@clubrunner.ca. This will be very likely who's going to represent the donations for your club treasurer, maybe your president, what have you. So you would put that information because when they receive the email, if they hit respond, it'll go back to such and such an address. In this case, support@clubrunner. Okay, so that's in a nutshell a quick a run through of the settings. Okay, let's actually see this in action now. So we've covered a couple caveats here. First of all, you have to have Bambora or Sage, right? US or Canada. Second of all, you have to complete the setup of this donations module. It's fairly straightforward as we did right now. Now, what does that actually get you? Okay, fine, we've done the setup. I'm gonna click here to go to our home page. Actually, let me just see if I can open. I'm sorry I did that a little quickly. I opened the home page in a separate tab. Sorry to do that a little fast. Okay, so we're here and we're here on our home page now. Some of this stuff is set up already. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of take a couple steps back. I'm going to reverse engineer this because we have been doing sessions and some of this has already been set up. So you can see there's already a blue donate button. We're going to get to that in a second. Before I do, You have Sage or Bambora on your club website. You have set up the donations module. Let's say you don't have this nice pre-set up donate button, because you probably won't if you're setting it up for the first time. What you would do is you're going to find the club's URL. In this case, we don't have a custom domain. All default Club Runner URLs are portal.clubrunner.ca/, and then we call this our club ID. This is essentially a code. You may have rotaryclubofx.org or what have you. At the end of your URL, you're going to type the word donate. Remember, you have to have Bambora or Sage, and you have to set up the donations module, and you'll come to this page. I did not, I did not type anything here. Like, this page is auto-generated. Remember, we had that nice little Rotary logo in our intro blurb. These are all the amounts that a user can use to donate to your club. Right, so these are the preset amounts, and then other is really important because, like I said, maybe someone wants to donate $17 or $75 or whatever. Okay, so I'm actually going to use other. All right, and I'm going to donate. Let's see what's not on here. I'm going to donate $5. You know what? Every dollar counts, and those little tiny trickle amounts might add up to a lot. So I'm going to donate $5. I'm going to click donate. Okay, and then I would fill out all my information. Okay, and I would submit my credit card payment. I'm going to stop it there, just so this is the stuff that the user would see. They'd fill in their information. They would click submit, and they would, and I would donate $5 to the club. So I'm going to pause there, and what we're going to assume is I filled in all my credit card info. I click submit. I'm going to close the home page, or actually I'm going to leave it open, but I'm going to go back into the member area by clicking here on this tab. Okay, and let's say the really beautiful thing about the donations module is it's all behind the scenes. Because it's live on your website, someone might donate to you at whatever 3 in the morning, on a random evening. Let's go here to the next section, the donation report. Okay, and the donation report, it's a report of all the people who've donated to you. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down a little bit. You can see we've actually had a fair bit of donations in the last few days. This is a great way to kind of figure out at a glance, well, who's donated and what have they donated, what amounts. Now, I want to, just a quick caveat, because I'm watching the clock as well. Just a quick caveat, this is not an elaborate, a huge report. We tried to keep the report simple because, remember, in order to use the donation module, you have to have a Sage or Bambora. The more advanced reports, like if you need everybody's email address and all this other transaction information, by the way, we can't save any credit card transaction or numbers inside our system. You would go to your virtual terminal in Sage or Bambora. And I'm sorry to use some of these terms because I know some of the members out there are like, well, I've never heard of this virtual terminal. So remember, you're going to go back here. This is the page where you set up your online payment module. During the setup process, you will start to learn some of these terms. And I know some of you are like, I know exactly what a virtual terminal is. And some of you are like, oh, that, I have no idea. When you start to set up your online payment module, you'll begin to learn what some of this is all about. Okay, so I'm going to go back here to our report, and you can see that we've got some people donating, and it's actually fabulous because, like I said, a lot of this happens behind the scenes. Hopefully you come next week and there'll be even more donations. Okay, one of the last things I want to talk about is the donation email template, which is right here. Okay, that's the last setting before help, of course. Once again, you can create a custom email and send it to all your donors to say thank you so much, or your money is going towards these these are the top 5 programs in our club that you're funding, whatever you'd like to do. I'm not actually going to set up the template. I would love to, but we're a little, I want to make sure we respect the time today. So I just want you to know where this is, what it is, and have a rough estimation of how to set it up. If you're like, wow, you really whizzed through that donations module pretty fast, and you might be saying that right now, there is a help section. So if I click here on help, it actually goes through step by step. Like we didn't really do a donation setting. We did it fairly quickly. It's all here written out for you. Okay, so I'm going to close that tab. All right, so in a very quick nutshell, in a summary, that's the donations module. Of course, if you have any questions, contact our team. You can absolutely feel free to post in Q&A. We're going to move on. Okay, so what I want to talk about very briefly, and once again, we're not going to go too advanced here, but I am going to show you some help resources. I want to talk about the the dues and billing module. Okay, so you have gone through the effort of setting up, your payment module, and now we're going to change gears a bit. We talked about donations, which is actually a huge thing right now, especially these days, online donations. Let's talk about internally in your club. You need to invoice your members. They have to pay their quarterly dues, monthly dues, yearly dues, whatever you set up as your club. This is a little bit more geared towards the treasurer, but let's get into it. I'm going to go along the top blue tabs. I'm going to click on organization. I'm going to click on dues and billing. Okay, and what dues and billing is, if you don't already know, it's a way for you to invoice your members only. And I know it's going to be in the Q&A. Someone's going to ask, what about non-members? At this time, you can invoice members, but you can't invoice non-members. This is not really the dues and billing, like this is the billing home. It's not really some advanced complex. It's not QuickBooks is a short way to say it. So a lot of people ask, can I do my club expenses and all that? Not really, because what the dues and billing module is, and it's simplified by design on purpose, it's a way for you to just essentially invoice and bill your members. We're going to get into that very quickly so you can see how that works. Okay, so I'm going to click here on create a new, actually before I create a new bill, because this is about the financials overall topic today, we're going to jump into create a new bill in just a moment. Let's make sure we're set up correct. Okay, so in the dues and billing home screen, there's a lot of menu commands running down the left side, and like I said, I would love to, but I don't have the time today to get into all these settings. What I want to focus on today right now is configuration settings, and once again, I know my text is a little small, so pardon me while I make it just a bit bigger. Okay, that's too big. I'm going to go here, and hopefully you can see this a little better. If I click here on configuration settings, what I can actually do is I can actually make sure that everything is set up. Okay, so and what I mean by that is if I input the correct billing address, there's some various settings which once again I'm going to gloss over. I apologize about that, but it's only to respect the time. This is what I really want to talk about. We went to configuration settings. I'm going to go to the very bottom, select payment method. And we're going to cover a lot of caveats. One little caveat about dues and billing: you do not need an online payment module to use dues and billing. So I want to elaborate on that. Let's say you don't have Bambora, you don't have Sage, if you're an international customer, you're using all the other payment providers. Let's say you have no payment provider wherever you are in the world, you can still invoice, send club invoices using the dues and billing module. So in fact, right here, the payment account has not been specified. You can actually see that. Okay, it's okay if you don't have one. You can still send out an invoice. What will happen is when you do have in this case a Bambora Beanstream, a payment module set up, normally when you email someone, it'll like Joe and Mary and Frank, all my members, you owe $100 for your quarterly dues or whatever. And they'll get the email, and then they'll have to give you a cash or check or whatever payment method offline. They'll have to come to you. That's if you don't have a payment set up with Club Runner online payment. If you do have online payment set up with Club Runner, Bob and Mary and Frank, my members, you'll get the email. There'll also be a click here to pay button, so they can not only get emailed. Let's say they owe $50 or what have you. They can pay online in their pajamas 10 p.m. at night whenever they feel like it. So it is a great luxury to have that kind of feature. It's the online payment is an add-on, so that's not built into Club Runner. Dues and billing is built into Club Runner, so you don't need to have online payments to use dues and billing. Now we have online payments. You can see it's not set up though. I'm going to click here on Bambora and I'm going to click save. What I'm kind of guaranteeing now is if I send an invoice to someone, they owe $50 or whatever they owe, they can pay it right. There's a button in the email so that they can go pay right online. Okay, so I'm just going to scroll down so you can see that that is actually true, that we actually have Bambora set up. Now that we have Bambora set up, I'm going to scroll up. I'm going to go back to the home. Okay, and we're going to do a very quick bill. And like I said, we're not going to go into detail, but I want to just talk about the overall process. So we're back here to billing home. Okay, you may notice, by the way, you might be a new treasurer and you may have noticed that there's old bills, you know, from the previous treasurer, which is fine. We're just going to go in and we're going to create a new bill from scratch. And I'm going to click here on this orange button, create a new bill. Okay, and we're just going to do this relatively quickly. So we're going to call this, what is the bill? We'll call this Mickey's test bill. What is the due date? You know what, I'll give everybody a month to do it. The due date is slightly arbitrary. If someone gives you payment after September 21st, 2020, that's okay. It's not some kind of hard deadline. It's just a kind of a nudge for the user to say, hey, you know, if you could pay us in a timely fashion, please do. Okay, comments, you can add, oh, I can't type today, so you can add your comments here. Okay, for example, let's say, you know, special notes, what have you, they can go into the comments box, and I'm actually going to leave that in there so you can see. Okay, and I'm going to save. All right, and this is actually what I wanted to get into, which we'll cover. Like I said, we'll kind of gloss over a lot of things today, just for the sake of time. Okay, the main screen where you create and distribute your club invoices and club dues, it's called Batch Main. Okay, Batch Main, this screen has four different stages. Okay, so first stage, you're going to specify your charges. What I mean by that is you're essentially creating line items on your invoice, and we'll get to that in a second. So that's stage one. What are you charging? Who are you charging inside that invoice? We're going to get to that. Review, step two. What review is, let's just make sure you're charging the right people the right amount. And that review step is actually kind of integral because step three, generate invoices. In this stage, you'll be essentially locking everything. You'll be finalizing all your invoices. You'll be generating PDF files. But one of the things that we kind of mentioned, and you know, I don't know if the text needs to be read in the future or something, you will not be able to undo after step three. So if you go, you know, make your charges in step one, your review in step two, and then after step three, you want to change your invoices, you can't. After step three, you can't undo. That's why we have that review phase. It's very important to make sure you're charging correctly to the right people, okay? And then the final step, which is grayed out for now, is how do you print and email your invoices. There's usually a mixture in a club. So some people are ecstatic to do as much as they can online. They really want to, you know, automate the process. They really want to, you know, like me, you know, at 10 p.m. in my pajamas, I'd love to go online and do this, you know, outside of my work time. And then there's the opposite. Some people, they would like a paper copy. So this lets you do a little of both. You can email your entire club their invoice, and then you can print out, say, for Bob or Mary or Frank or whoever requests for a paper copy. So I'm going to do this really quickly, and I am watching the clock. So I'm going to click on add additional item. Remember, this is an add item, a line item. So quarterly dues. Okay. And I think I said it was $50, so let's just keep it a very simple number. So quantity, how many quarterly dues are there? Well, everybody's only gonna be charged one quarterly due. If you type in two, that means they'll be charged $100, right? So the quantity is typically one, doesn't have to be. What is it? It's a quarterly due. What is the price? Unit price, it's $50. So everybody gets charged this amount. And if you scroll down, you'll actually see it's pre-selected. So Erica, Vera, Kim, and Netta, so forth, they're all getting charged $50. Now, you can customize this. This is a quarterly due. Maybe someone has already paid. Let's say Erica, she's already paid you the quarterly dues in advance because she's on top of that stuff, which is fantastic. Uncheck her name. Okay, and now she will not, notice she goes to 0, she'll not get charged. Okay, and actually that's what we're gonna do. We're not gonna charge Erica. She gave me a check the other day, so that's fantastic. Okay, and if you scroll down, you'll see everybody selected. Now, once again,
Mickey.
oh,
Oh,
sorry.
sorry, just to interject now before you save. So I wanted to note here that Erica will not receive an invoice at all right now because she is unchecked.
Mm-hmm.
But if you wanted to make sure that she did get the invoice, but she didn't see the cost, how would we do that?
That's fantastic. So, oh, I'm not. Do you mean Zach? I'm going to check Erica and I'm going to go 0. Is that
Yep.
what you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, I
So in
wasn't
this
sure what you meant.
case, Erica will still see that she will still receive an invoice in this case. So she can still see that there was a quarterly due, but she doesn't know anything.
You got it. Fantastic. Thank you, Zach. That is an excellent point. Now, only because I'm watching the clock, what I want to do is I'd like to keep moving forward because, like I said, and by the way, we have a dedicated videos, help articles on all of this. If you go to Club Runner, I'm gonna interject myself for a second here. I'm gonna go to clubrunnersupport.com. Okay. I'm gonna make this just a touch bigger. Okay, we very quickly today we're talking about dues and billing. So boy, I wonder if we have a video or even a webinar on dues and billing. So here, it turns out we do. We have a nice, great video with Zach, and the entire webinar is devoted to dues and billing. So that's one of the reasons, partly it's time, but also partly because we have, I'm sorry, let me undo that, okay? We have resources for you. So today is more about what can you do, and we want to talk, a little bit more about the overall process, and it's less about a detailed tutorial today. But I definitely, like I said, want to cover some ground here because I know that there are people out here attending the webinar today. This is brand new to them, so I want to make sure we kind of hit both, 50-50. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to click, actually you can do it from the top or the bottom. I'm just going to click the save button. Okay, so we'll just do it right there, and we've created our first line item. You can go back, add more items. For example, maybe someone gave your club $10 in happy bucks, maybe or whatever charges you'd like to do. You can keep on adding additional items. For the sake of time, I will not, but you can, especially after you watch the tutorial. I'm going to scroll down. I'm just going to click on this so you can see what it looks like. If you click on billing roster, it will show you who you charged. If you didn't charge them, they won't show up on the billing roster. So this is essentially a list of names, and then what are they being charged? If you don't see that person on the list, they're not getting an invoice. So it's really important to review the list on the billing roster. While we're waiting for that to happen, oh, perfect. Never mind, we're gonna forge ahead. So you can see that, as Zach mentioned, Erica ARP, she's going to get an invoice. It's going to be $0 because she already paid me a check last week. Everybody else, Vera, Kim, and so forth, they're going to get an invoice. And the invoice will be for the amount of $50 because they haven't paid me yet. And it's really vital to just scroll down. I'm doing it a little quickly here, just because for the sake of time. But you can see all the members I chose. Actually, I didn't choose them; they get pre-chosen for me. Okay, and this is the total amount of invoices I'm sending out, right? 29 invoices and so forth. So I'm going to scroll back up, okay? Actually here, sorry, I'm going to go back down. Sorry to go a little quickly. I'm going to click the go back button. Okay, so we reviewed our invoices, and for the sake of time, let's just say everything's perfect. Everybody's billed the correct amount. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with repeating step 1 and 2 until you're perfect. Step 1, I send out the bill. Step 2, oops, I forgot to invoice Max or whatever. Go back and forth. I encourage you to go back and forth with step 1 and 2 because now we're moving on to step 3. And step 3, there's no undo. Once you generate these invoices, everything's locked. So make sure you're comfortable with doing step 3 before you actually click this button. So step 3 is generate invoices. I'm going to click on generate invoices, click OK. And it's going to generate all the PDF files and all the the print material for everybody. And that's done. It doesn't take very long. and scroll down, you will now notice most things are now grayed out. Okay, so I can't add an additional item. I can still review the billing roster. I can't generate the invoices again. We essentially locked everything. Okay, so like I said, it's important to review before step 3. And very quickly, I want to talk about step 4 so you know what it is, where it is, and how it kind of works. I'm going to click here on view individual invoices. What this is, so once again, it's a list of all your members, what they're being charged, and then you can choose to email everybody right here, right? You can choose to email everybody. You can choose, for example, I'm going to do select all. I can email all the invoices to all my members, or I can download the selected invoices. Let's say for whatever reason, the entire club wants it's a special invoice, they want a paper copy. I can download everything to PDF, and I can print a bunch of pages for them. Okay, so one thing I want to show, one thing you haven't actually seen, I'm going to unselect everybody, okay, is what does an invoice look like? It looks like this. If I click here on view/print, okay, so the invoice, this is what it looks like. Remember we went into configuration settings and we set up a billing address. This is what it's pulling from, all right? And then Erica Arp, who already paid me, right? She gets a record that she owes $0, and it's all dated and it looks very official. This is actually important for some members. They need it for tax purposes and so forth. And then remember, I added in a comment. This is where the comment shows up directly on their invoice. So now that you know how that works, you can add whatever you need to in the comments. Okay, I'm going to close that off. So I actually could print right from my browser window if I wanted to, but I'm just going to close it. Okay, and we're gonna kind of shift gears again. We're gonna stop with dues and billing. Like I said, there's actually a fair bit that I glossed over, didn't cover. That is kind of by design today. Like I said, I very much encourage you to go to clubrunnersupport.com. Please do watch the tutorials and videos. It goes step by step. This, I know for a fact, this video has a ton of screenshots and screen videos, so you can actually follow along with Zach and create your own test bill. Okay, so I'm going to go back here. I'm going to click on the club website, and what I want to talk about next is events. And let's see what. Okay, we're not too bad for time, so that's fantastic.
We're doing good. And just to note on that, I saw a lot of great Q&A for dues and billing, and we'll touch on those once we get to the end of the session.
Fantastic, yeah, and that's a great point, Zach, because I want to make sure that that we have some time with Zach and I to do Q&A. Okay, now I want to talk about events. So I'm going to start off like this. So I'm going to go back to clubrunnersupport.com. Let me go back to our homepage. This is clubrunnersupport.com. I want to talk about my event runner. Now, what I'm not going to build today, or actually it's already pre-built. I built it the other day. I'm not going to build an event, because and I'm going to tell you why. First of all, let's start from step 1. Step 1 is, what is my event runner? How does it work? How do I get some instructions on that? So my event runner, it was kind of mentioned in a previous webinar this morning, is the advanced version of our event software. And we do have a completely dedicated webinar just on my event runner, by the way, but we also have an online instruction manual. So if I go to clubrunnersupport.com, and there's 4 big buttons, the 4th big button right here, if I were to click on my event runner, this is an online guide. Please, it's worth a read. It's a wonderful guide. We go, once again, step by step. We're going to create an event. This is the barbecue bash. You know, how do you use Event Runner? How do you do the setup? So please do follow this guide. Create yourself a test event in my Event Runner. Now, once again, back to those caveats. So I want to talk briefly about, well, okay, that's great. I can view the guide because the guide is online. It's for everybody. When I go to my club website, I either can't access my event runner, it's grayed out, or it says I can only have 1 event per year. Like, oh, hey, what's going on? The caveat with my event runner is you need to have an online payment module set up. But we talked about Sage in the US, Sage/Pay in the US, and Bambora. If you do not have an online payment module set up, you can use what's called Event Planner. Event Planner, it's very much like dues and billing. It's already built into your club website. You know, you can use it. There's no, you know, Sage or Bambora required. You can use it. It's just you can't pay with credit card unless you have that online payment set up. If you have the online payment set up, Sage or Bambora, what have you, this will automatically activate my event runner. Now, my event runner is quite a large piece of software, and we cannot go over it in, let's say, 10, 15 minutes, but that's okay. I kind of anticipated that. So what I didn't do today is I didn't create an event, because I actually had created an event earlier this week, and then I was, I was looking at all the Q&As and chat and all that, and I was like, you know what, some people are asking about online stores. So first of all, my event runner is for events. Well, why am I not creating an event? Hey, it's in the title. But we're going to take a little different step. I hope what I don't want to leave you with is a lot of technical jargon or whatever. What I want to leave you with during the end of the session is hopefully some ideas. So we're going to look at some ideas, and you can see maybe it'll work for your club, maybe it won't. But I just want you to know that this is possible. Okay, I'm going to go back here to the member area. I'm going to click on events, and I'm sorry, I did a little fast. I'm going to click here on events, and then I'm going to click here on my event runner. Okay. And this is my online store. I'm going to open it up. Okay. So actually, we're going to reverse engineer this. Like I said, I don't have the time to go over all the settings. My event runner can be fairly elaborate. Let's look at my end result. I'm going to click on setup. Okay. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of the page on setup. And let's just discuss what I did here. So this is the public URL. Now you know what? I'm going to scroll back up to the top, because I know that there's some of you who are like, my event runner, I've never seen that before. What is this? So I don't want to gloss over too much. I'm going to go back to the top here. Okay, so my event runner lets you create sophisticated events. What I mean by sophisticated or complex events is, for an example, my event runner is used for district conferences. That's how elaborate you can get with it. Think of my event runner as a way to have multiple price points. You can have what we call coupon codes. You can you can have questionnaires, so you can actually ask your registrants questions. There's a lot of functionality in my event runner that is not found in Event Planner. Okay, that's my event runner in 10 seconds or less. This is the interface from my event runner very quickly. All the major sections are running down the left side. So if one of the first things you're going to do is you're going to click on setup to set up the event, to do all the initial setup. Okay, and you can do all kinds of things like you can view registrations. There's reports when you are done. And the event is live, and you want to see how many people have registered, how many people have paid. The form designer section, this is actually where you design the event. Okay, and like I said, I do apologize. I know I'm glossing over a lot. Now, there's a certain percentage of attendees today who will be like, this is old hat. I've used my event runner for whatever 4 or 5 events this past year. But like I said, I want to make sure that if this is the first time you're seeing my event runner, I just want to make sure how do you access it? How can you access it? And then what are you looking at the first time you come to this screen? Okay, so I'm not going to go into all the details about what all the commands are. What I am going to do is I'm going to show you the online store that I built. And like I said, you might be a little reluctant to be like, online store, I don't know about that. Okay, so I'm sorry, I didn't explain what I did. Let me close that. I was on my setup screen. Okay, and what I did is I scrolled down the setup screen, and this public URL. Okay, this is how anybody, and it can be members of your club, Rotarians, or non-members. This is how anybody can access and register for this My Event Runner event. I'm going to click on the public URL. Okay, and this is the first screen. I can log in. If I'm a member of the club, I can use my username and password, and I can log in. Remember, the keyword here is optional. So if you're not a member, or you want to open this up for the public, it's okay. Anyone can register for this event. They don't have to be a member of your club. Let me prove that by adding the word test. So my first name is Test, my last name is Test, my email is test@example.com. Okay.
And just before you keep going there, as a big tip here, if your primary audience is going to be non-members, we strongly encourage turning that option off. Because a lot of people will miss that optional line, and then they'll contact you and say, hey, how do I get a login for your club runner account, which you guys won't want to give them under almost all circumstances. So yeah, there is an option to turn that off, and I'm going to throw it right back to Mickey.
Thank you very much, Zach. It actually gives me a chance To sip some water. All right. So, thanks, Zach, for that chance. All right. So, just in a nutshell, this little box, it can be turned off. So if it's a general public event, you can just disable this box entirely, take out username and password, and just have the your information section. So I'm going to do a test registration. Everything is test. You have to consent to collect your information. So you have to check this box. Every registrant is going to be saved in your club's database, and we have to give them a heads up to say, please allow us to save your information. That's what this checkbox means. If I don't check the box, I actually can't move forward. So I'm going to check the box. I'm going to select my options. And this is what I want to spend just a bit of time on, and I don't have much time left. So this actually worked out. Hopefully it worked out pretty well. So what this is, for some of you, this is brand new and you're like, gee, I've never seen this before. And for some of you who are kind of a more expert with my event runner, this might be like, this is interesting. What's going on here? So let me explain. What this is this is technically an online store. This is not something I actually thought about until maybe a year or two ago when we had more customers asking, do you guys do e-commerce? Can you guys give me an online store? And at first I was like, you know what, I want to say no, but maybe. So what I've done here is, this is what I've done. I've set up an event. I'm going to put it in air quotes, you see my fingers, an event in my event runner. And the event has an expiry now, and I didn't show you in the settings, like I said, we don't have the time. This event expires in 2099. What that means is it's an event that for all intents and purposes has no end date. It'll just stay on the website and it'll only expire in the year 2099. So you could have this and collect information year after year. Now, I don't kind of prefer that. I'd prefer to have the store expire after each year, but some people don't. They want this to be like a perpetual link. So one of the ways that this event, my event runner event, is special is I have it set to expire whatever, 20 or 80 years from now. And then what I have here is I have products that my club is selling. T-shirts, mugs, lapel pin, and we're going to get to this in 1 second. But the three main things I'm selling is T-shirts, mugs, and lapel pins. Why? Because, and this is why I was mulling this over this week. I had a customer call me. He's got a deal. He's a Rotarian. He has a special deal. He can get T-shirts for with a special, his Rotary Club. And I think he was paying like $5 a shirt or something. Got a special deal. And he was selling it through his club website, and he would sell it for $20. In this case, it's $25. But the thing is it's a great fundraising tool because you get it below cost. If you can get it below cost, you sell it online, and this is completely 100% online. He was pocketing about $10, $15 per T-shirt. Okay, or he wasn't pocketing. His club was receiving the balance. So it's a great fundraising tool. Like I said, it's also fun. It's also a way for users to do this in their PJs and their pajamas at 10 p.m. at night. So these are the three things I'm selling. It's selling perpetually. You can think of this kind of technically as your e-commerce store. Now, we haven't covered events today. Like I said, this is technically not an event, but a lot of people actually, not all, some people already know how to create events. I want to try something different today to kind of get people thinking a little bit outside the box. And I'm checking the clock too. So you can sell these T-shirts, mugs, and lapel pins. By the way, my uncle loves lapel pins. He actually has he's got a collection of lapel pins. So I want to put that in, dedicated to my uncle, who's also Rotarian. Okay. So I want to talk about this, and this is worth zooming into. You'll see the T-shirts are 25, the mugs are 10, the lapel pin is 15. Okay, online fee donation. Why is it only $1? Let me zoom in on that just a touch so you can see it a little bit better. Okay. Okay, we've had a lot of people request, and this is something we're working towards, right? Because your input, your feedback is so valuable to us, and we're going to try to see what we can do to implement this. This is my workaround for a lot of people who have asked, listen, when you get Sage, when you get Bambora, it is not free. There's costs, there's per transaction fees. In other words, the club is going to need to pay transactional fees because that's how credit card payments work. Amazon and all those guys, they build it into the product cost. Obviously, credit card transactions online are never free. So the club is paying for that. Some of the customers had some really great feedback about can you add a checkbox to say the person the customer who is buying something from me, they agree to cover my expenses. And that really got all of us thinking as to that's actually a good idea. Let's say I'm going to order a t-shirt. It's going to be $25. That's fine. And then there's no tax or anything involved. Let's just say all that just to simplify matters. But the club, your Rotary Club or district will be on the will need to pay the the transaction fee on the $25, so on and so forth. What the online fee donation is, and I tried to word it carefully, but you can change the wording. First of all, it says limit 10 per person. It's an amount completely optional. I want to make sure I put it in red, an amount between $1 and $10. So I can add $1 or $6 or whatever, $7. I'm gonna actually do $5. This is essentially a donation towards the fees that your club has to pay for the credit card. So the person who is paying this extra, like I'm going to buy a t-shirt, and you know what? I love those mugs. I'm going to buy a mug too. Okay. So that should come to $35, but I'm also going to chip in $5 to help the club cover its credit card costs. So once again, this is completely inside the box kind of thing, but it's a little bit outside the box thinking. Like you can actually ask your users to help you cover your credit card payments, whatever. One thing I didn't cover with my event runner, which and I want to make sure we get to some Q&A, but one thing we didn't cover is there's my event runner a standard, and there's my event runner pro. If you use my event runner pro, that's some extra transactional charges. Pro is the one that is used for a district conference. This is just between you and I, this is not pro. This is my event runner lite. Okay, everything you're seeing here, you don't have to use the pro sophisticated advanced version. What I'm using here, it's called add-ons. And I'm not doing any questionnaires or coupon. I'm keeping it very simple so that this is a solution. Your club doesn't have to pay extra to the MER, my event runner, call it MER Pro. And this is only for you to think about. I hope this might help you. I actually changed this midstream this week. I was thinking, I had my event all set up and it's like, you know what? We have videos and we have tutorials on events that you're here to get some nuggets of information. So I hope that this has kind of expanded your mind a little bit. Like you can use our tools to your advantage. You can just because it's designed to do one thing doesn't mean you can't kind of modify it a little bit to get your needs taken care of as well. And with that, I can see.
Actually,
okay,
Mickey, that's actually a great thing. We're ready for our Q&A?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So before we navigate away from the screen, I have a great question from Diane Walker. She says, why does the online donations fee say limit 10 per person?
Oh, sure. Okay, so this is specific to, this is what Diane's asking, and I'm going to kind of, hopefully you can see that. I set all of this. What we didn't go into, we didn't do a deep dive into, I'm going to call it MER, okay? My event runner, I'm going to call it MER. We didn't do a deep dive into MER today. Everything you see here, MER is pretty flexible. I set the price, I set the limit, so there's a lot of things you can set. This online donation fee, I can limit 50 per person. In other words, if a member is really wanted to, they could donate $50 towards the credit card fees, or they can buy the club mugs. Right now, every person can only buy 5. And by the way, I went outside the range, so MER warns me and says, hey, you can't do that. It has to be a number between 1 and 10. So everything you see here, it's not predefined. You get to define whatever the values are on this screen.
Yeah,
Okay.
and just to add to that, not only are there limits for like per person registrations, you can also set up limits for the entire registration.
Got it.
And I'm going to segue into a second question while we're still looking in My Event Runner. Henry asked, can you have more than one online store set up? And just to answer that very straightforwardly, you could set up as many events as required to capture all of the specific things. So if you have a fundraiser selling t-shirts or some grouping of items and you concurrently have a whole different event wanting to sell a different collection of items, you could definitely have both of those running at the same time. And you could have as many or as few as you guys need. All right. So we have a couple questions about dues and billing. Mickey, do you want to head back over into the dues and billing module?
You got it. All right. So let me go back here into the member area. And I'm going to make this a little bit small, just a little bit smaller. I want to make sure everybody can see. I'm going to click here to go back to the administrative page. Okay, and once again, organization, and then dues and billing to head to the dues and billing module. And take it away, Zach. What can I?
So a really popular question here, and you didn't touch on it too much, was how can they have multiple, like have separated items on their invoices? And I know you touched on it shortly, but could we just go through a couple really quick? I think you can jump into those member dues because those are still
Yep.
open.
That's still open, so fantastic. Oh, sorry, wrong button. So I'm going to open up a bill that hasn't been closed yet. In other words, step 3 has not been done. See how step 3 of the invoice is there. Now, what this is, and this is what we didn't get to cover this. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff I had to gloss over for time restraints today. But this is what the club has done. There's a dues, which we actually charge, right? It was, you know, they're being charged $50 or whatever. And then there's some lunch charges, okay? Because some people, maybe some of your members, they pay for lunch. The member count tells you, let's say most of the club, let's say 27 members, most of them, pretty much all of them get dues, but only 8 people got the lunch fee. Let me click here on edit. You can actually see how this works, okay? There's a lunch charge. It's $15, okay? For whatever lunch, and you might have breakfast, what have you. I'm going to scroll down just very slowly. See how we're targeting members here? Erica, Kim, Farley, and if we keep going down, you'll see more people. These people paid for lunch. The others, they didn't. Maybe only certain specific people have to pay for lunch or whatever. So you can, and I'm going to click cancel here. I don't want to affect this invoice. You can keep going. If I click add additional item, remember I talked about Happy Bucks? Let's actually do that, okay? Happy Bucks, okay? I'm gonna do this really quickly because I know we have some more questions. Obviously the price is $1, but you know what? This is interesting. Now we can talk about quantity. You know what? Fred in my other meeting, or Mary or whoever, they donated 11 Happy Bucks because he had 11 happy things to talk about in the meeting. That's a lot, but why not, right? They had 11 happy things, so he donated 11 Happy Bucks. I don't know. I'm going to unselect all members. Now I put myself, I don't actually know if there's a Fred. You know what? Vlad, I meant to say Vlad donated $11 and only Vlad donated 11 Happy Bucks. I'm going to click save. Okay. And and now you'll see that there's only one member is paying that $11, and so on and so forth. You can just keep going, adding additional items. Like I kind of mentioned, take your time with step 1, take your time with step 2, right? There's no reason to rush in and click this orange button yet. Get your invoices, line items, all that stuff in order to make sure everybody's getting the right thing. But that was an excellent question. Thank you.
I've got another great question here from Kathy. She wants to know if it's possible to have a different email address just for members' invoices.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, so let's take myself as the example. I'm logged in as me, and I'm going to go visit my member profile. So I'm going to click here up along the top blue tabs. I'm going to click on My Club Runner, and click on My Profile. Okay, so I'm going to visit my profile. If you and let me do this a little bit slowly. So I'm going to just grab it. I'm going to slowly scroll down. Okay, so in my member details, I have my email address. And then I have an alternate email, okay? So I actually have room for 2 email addresses in Club Runner. The alternate email isn't used that much. However, it is used, the alternate email, in dues and billing. Let's find out how. So right now I don't even have an alternate email. I'm going to put one in, and I'm going to make my dues go to that alternate email. So I'm going to click here on edit. Okay, I'm going to edit my own profile. By the way, anybody in your club, doesn't matter what access level, anybody in your club can edit their own profile information. Okay, it doesn't matter what access level they have. So I'm going to scroll down. I've already got my email. You know what? I got an alternate email, Mickey at Mickey. Oh, sorry, can't even spell my own name. Mickey at example.com. Okay. And now this is what we want to take a look at. The dues and billing preferred email. What this means is when I get club correspondence, when the treasurer president email me, I want it to go to this address. When I get a due or an invoice, I want it to go to this address. I'm going to click save so you can see what this looks like. All right. So what we're doing right now is we're rerouting our dues to go to the alternate email, and my alternate email is, say, a Gmail, Hotmail, what have you email. In fact, what a lot of people do is they use their personal email for rotary correspondence, and then they use their work email as their alternate email because their employer is helping to pay for their rotary dues. So this is a great way to say, okay, my personal email address, I want all my stuff to go to Gmail. Oh, and you know what? I want all my dues to go to whatever the accounting firm I work for or what have you. Okay. All right, great.
All right, and I had another quick question I think I will be able to answer here. Justin was asking, if dues are paid into one account, is there a way to have our donations go into another? And the very simple answer to that is yes, but you will need two separate payment provider accounts. And if you're with Bambora or Sage or any of our supported payment providers in any of our other areas, you can have multiple accounts open. And then once you have those payment accounts open and set up and we're aware of them, you'll be able to choose and configure which payments accounts are used in which modules. So for the dues and billing, like Mickey is showing here, you would have full control over that. So if we had 2 or 3 or 5 or as many billing accounts as we needed, we could have those all open and we could switch between them. And I just want to add a little caveat that the dues and billing module only supports a single payment account. In that, what I mean is that whatever payment account is active at the time the member comes back to pay their invoice, that is the account it will go into. And I think we have one more, or at least I thought I saw, I marked one more for us to answer live here. Let me see if I can find that. But otherwise, I think we are pretty good for time.
Absolutely. I mean, we can take another question if you like, Zach.
Yeah, I was just looking to see if there was another good question that we could answer relatively straightforwardly. There's a question about why can't you edit and change things in the past? Like why can't you edit invoices after they're generated? And to touch on that very shortly, let's say if you do mess up an invoice, like let's say Mickey had generated his invoice, you can always delete that old invoice to remove those charges from members' things, but you'd really want to copy it first so you could make your corrections and then get rid of it. And I will just add on that note, really be careful when you're deleting invoices. Once an invoice is gone, those charges will immediately come off of a member's account. But no, I don't think, there's a lot of other really great questions, but a lot of them are a little too involved to answer in a quick Q&A. I will touch on one more quick question here. Jill was asking if for our donation module, is there a way to donate for a specific cause? And not yet, though that is something we're going to be looking at in the future. So I think that's going to wrap it up for this section, Mickey.